Here we have a problem on compound interest. Okay, let's go to the information. Suppose client deposits a principal amount of P dollars in a bank account that pays compound interest. If the annual interest is R expressed as a decimal and the bank makes interest payments n times every year, should have an amount of money equal to R after T is given by R of T equals to P times 1 positive R over N raised to the power of N times T. Actually, it is a formula we have for compound interest is R of T represents the amount we have in the account after T years, and this P represents the principal, that is the initial deposit, and this R represents the rate of interest expressed in decimal, and this N represents number of times the interest is compounded in a year, that is how many times a bank makes interest in a year, and T represents the number of years. Okay, here using these information we have to answer two questions. The first question is, if she deposits $2,000 into an account paying 4% in annual interest compounded annually, what is the amount of interest compounded after 1 year? So she's going to deposit $2,000 in that account. It pays 4% annual interest compounded annually. Compounded annually means the bank makes interest one time in a year. So that's then the value of N in this case is just 1. So we have to find the interest earned in 1 year. Okay, now let me answer the first question. So let me use the formula we have over here, that is R of T. In this formula for T, I'm just going to plug in 1 for T because they're asking us to find the amount after 1 year, which is equal to P is the principal, that is initial deposit. So here it's $2,000. We can write 2,000 times 1 positive. R is rate of interest. The rate of interest is 4%, but it has to be expressed as a decimal. So when I convert 4% as a decimal, first we have to write this 4% as a fraction, 4 over 100. When I divide 4 by 100, I'm getting 0.04. So the value of R in decimal as 0.04 divided by N. N means how many times that the bank makes interest in a year. So here it's compounded annually. There is a bank makes interest once in a year. Then the value of N is just 1. And here here N is 1 times the value of T is also 1 because we are finding the interest earned after 1 year. So then we get R of 1 equals to 2000 times okay, so here when it by 0.04 by 1, it's 0.04. When it is added to 1, it will be 1.04 to the power of 1 times 1 is just 1. So whenever the exponent is 1, we can ignore it. We don't have to mention. So now R of 1 is equal to, when I multiply this 2000 by 1.04, I am getting 2080. So after 1 year, the account balance is $2,080. So actually, client deposited $2,000. Now, but our aim is to find the interest earned in 1 year. Let me write the stuff over here. Interest earned. Let me write it. So to find the interest earned, what I have to do is I have to subtract the initial deposit, that is a principal $2,000 from the account balance after 1 year, that is 2080. So the account balance after 1 year 2080 negative the initial deposit, that is principal 2000. When I do so, I'm getting $80. So after 1 year, the interest earned is $80. Okay, now we have answered the first part of the question. Now let's answer the second part of the question. So first, let's go the information we have on the second part. If she deposits $2,000 to an account paying 4% annual interest compounded quarterly, what is her account balance after 1 year? So here the information clearly says compounded quarterly. So there are 4 quarters in a year. So that is the bank makes interest payments 4 times in a year. So 4 times in a year means the value of N is 4. Okay, now let me plug in the stuff into the formula. So here also they are asking us to find account balance. Actually in the first question they ask us to find the interest earned, but here they are asking us to find the account balance. Account balance means we have to find the value of R of T. So after 1 year means we have to plug in T is equal to 1. So P is the same, $2,000 times 1 positive. So again, the R is the same, rate of interest 4%. If I convert this one to decimal, it will be 0.04. But this time, the value of N is 4 because interest is compounded quarterly. That means the bank makes interest payments 4 times in a year. So divided by 4, and so here the exponent, the value of N is 4, the value of T, that is the number of years, is 1. Okay, now 2000 times 1 positive. Now what I have to do is I have to divide 0.04 divided by 4. When I do such division, I am getting 0.01 to the 4th power. So which is equal to 2000 times 1.01 raised to the 4th power. Okay, now let me evaluate the value of this expression. So let me write 2000 times first let's evaluate the value of this 1.01 raised to the 4th power using calculator. Its value is 1.04060401. Okay, so when I multiply this 2000 and this value, I am getting 2081.20802. Okay, according to the information we have in the second part of the question, we have to round our answer to the nearest dollar. So when I round this one to the nearest dollar, I am getting $2081.